Hi, good morning. I'm Gautam John. I work with Pratham Books in Bangalore. We're a non-profit children's book publishing company, organization, and our goal is a book in every child's hand, though some of you might know me as Gautam John with no luggage. I'm going to run through this, but we can always talk about what we're doing and why we're doing it in more depth once this is over. In brief, the scale of the problem that we're trying to solve in India is essentially a high-quality book in a child's native language in India. Currently, there are about 300 million children between the age groups of 0 to 14. India has 1,600 dialects, 22 national constitutionally recognized languages, and only two major languages in which books are published. That's Hindi and English. And the other problem is that for these 300 million children, last year there were only 12.5 million books published. What we set out to do was publish low-cost books with high quality and set in the Indian context. Thus far, we've done about 160 titles in 10 languages, which is something we think is important. And we've printed about 14 million books, 14 million story cards, and about 7 million books as of last month. But in context of the larger problem which we're trying to solve, which is 300 million children in 22 languages, it's still really a very small drop in the ocean, which is when we started talking with people in the open courseware, in the open access movement, with Connections, with the Open Society Institute, to try and see how we could use technology and the open source philosophy to solve this problem. To us, our goal is our mission focus, which is a book in every child's hand. And we have multiple constraints around this. Being a small organization, there's only so much you can do. And because we're a non-profit, our models of distribution are limited because we can't pay commercial overheads in terms of profit margins and in terms of channel costs. Another goal that was really important to us was to empower communities to tell their own stories, to catalyze industry in a larger sense, because we can't be the only provider of low-cost, high-quality books. So the idea was also to prove a business model at this end of the pyramid, where you can make money and where you can allow open access to children's educational and fictional material, and still be a profitable company. And lastly, the notion of plurality of cultures. Stories from across the country tend to stay in their own respective pockets and never make it across. So the goal was also to tell stories from different parts of the country, and now with the project we're working on, different parts of the world. In terms of what our ideal goal for a platform was, it was to allow people to create work, to translate work, which is very important to us, to reuse work. Our strength is this huge archive of children's artwork. And a common response we've got from the grassroots community was that while people could generate teaching and learning and reading material, no one could illustrate it. And we have an archive of about 32,000 pages of illustrations, which we'd like for people to use and to generally increase the net content available for children. To allow people to remix our work. Our pictures the artwork is fairly generic. And I'm sorry, I brought a whole lot of books, but they're somewhere between London and here right now. If they arrive in time tomorrow, you can see them. To allow people to remix our books so that you could take pictures from different books and create new stories around them. And lastly, to distribute them. The goal with the Connections platform was also to build an entrepreneurial model around our content. Since Connections and we are in philosophical agreement on using the CC BY licenses, we're allowing people to take our books, print them, and actually sell them. Common concern is I don't want people making exorbitant sums of money off our content. But then if you spend enough time with people, they tend to realize that the market will self-correct over time. And all of those reasons tie into the reason we're here with Connections, because the Connections platform allows us to do almost all of those things as on date, and there are things that we're working to take forward. We have a demo work group in Connections where we have a proof of concept up. We've uploaded a few books. They seem to work. Our books are very simple. Most of our books are very simple. It's a large picture, as you can see, with text underneath that, so you can rewrite the text. You can write a different story around each one. Going forward, we have a little bit of work that we need to do. Since we're a publishing house, all of our content is in, unfortunately, very proprietary formats that we need to convert and seed our work group on Connections. On the technology side, there are a few things we're working towards. One is essentially font sizes. Connections, as of now, the default font size is too small for our kind of book, so we need to allow it for different page font sizes. And we need to work on pagination, because if the text breaks separately from the picture, it doesn't really work. In terms of language issues, there's the language input, the print engine, and the user interface handling multiple languages. As of now, it handles a bunch of international languages, which is great, but we'd also like it to support more Indic languages as such, because that's currently our focus. And lastly, the reason I'm here to talk with the community and engage with the community and see how best we can take this forward. So that's it. Those are my coordinates. At some point in time, any point in time, I'm happy to talk about what we're doing and how we're doing and how we can make it better. Thank you.